Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about what we saw yesterday evening in Manchester. Queensbury and DAZN linking up properly for the first time. They do have a working relationship because of Riyadh season and these Ring magazine events. And I do think that DAZN have taken the last couple of Queensbury cards, the global rights. But this was obviously their first proper link up in the UK. And I enjoyed it. Obviously, it was my first time working for Queensbury as well. Very similar to what I do for Matchroom. There were a few differences. Like normally with Matchroom, I'm reading like an auto cue. You guys know what that is, right? Where I'm just reading from like a teleprompter, they call it. But with Queensbury, I was just making it up as I went. So they kind of gave me sort of free reign, which was nice. First time working with Carl Frampton as well, who is fantastic, honestly fantastic. I can't wait to work with Carl and Tony. I think we're doing Ben Eubank together, so that's going to be good. So yeah, it was good. And you know what? They did well to keep this fight card intact. Obviously, it's a fight card that lost its co-main event, Lawrence Okoli versus Richard Riakporhe. It's a fight card that lost half of its main event. Obviously, it was supposed to be Joyce versus Dillian Whyte. So considering all those things, I thought they did well to kind of keep it together. I think there was about 5,000 or 6,000 in there. It felt like and sounded like a bit more than that, but I think there was about 5,000 or 6,000. All right, where should we start? All right, let's just start with the thumbnail. Enough is enough. And obviously this is with reference to Joyce. This is a little difficult for me, but I am going to say what I want and how I feel about this. Obviously now I work for Queensbury. Joyce is a Queensbury fighter. I guess it was a bit easier for me to kind of say what I wanted about Joe before, just because he was over there and I was working over there. But look, I've always kind of said that I think Joe, or at least in his last couple of fights, I've been like questioning what Joe should do next. And I think in the lead up to this one, I said, look, if Joe loses again, then that should be that, right? I feel like I'm exhausted of watching him take punishment. I don't know if that's the right word, but you guys know what I'm sort of getting at here. And I asked him the question after the fight. Like in my head, I was thinking, should I ask it? Should I ask it? But I thought I've got to ask it because everyone at home is thinking it, or at least that's what I think anyway. So I asked him the question, are you going to continue? And he pretty much said yes. And I do think people around him need to say no. Like, I think more people around him need to kind of say, okay, Joe, enough's enough. You are taking a lot of punishment. And it's not even with regards to like maybe the speech slowing down, because I think a lot of people are kind of noticing that. I am anyway. And some have said, no, that's how he's always spoken. I don't believe that. You know, I've gone back and watched a few Joe interviews. And look, Joe isn't no Tyson Fury, but he certainly has slowed down the speech a little bit. And it's just the shots he's taken now. I feel like they are going to have a massive, massive effect on him in years to come. And that's all it is. I mean, that's all it is. And look, I'm the kind of person, I said Chisora should retire. I even said AJ should retire. So this isn't no dig on Joe personally. It's just I'm watching his fights. And even in his wins, and I said this, I think when I did Addy and G-Man, even in his wins, he takes severe punishment. Like, it's incredible. The punch stats would back me up on this one. And in that fight yesterday, he's quite fortunate that Hrgovic isn't a big puncher, because Hrgovic was landing right hands at will. And if it wasn't for the fact that Hrgovic took the fight on short notice, and I think he was a bit nervous about his gas tank, that could have been a very dangerous fight. But ultimately, look, he's 39. He's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. And this was a man that was running through brick walls before, and he can no longer do that. So what's the want? I always say this, like, what is the want? And I always say that with regards to boxing because of how dangerous the sport is. Like, what's the want? Some will say money, because I guess he gets a decent pay packet, not pay-per-view type money, but he's getting good money regardless. And maybe this is just what he loves to do, right? Maybe this is all he knows. I think he's got a degree in fine art or something, which is a bit random, but maybe this is just what he loves to do. So maybe he takes big offense when people say enough's enough. And I get it, but he's no spring chicken either. Joe's 39. If this was a 31, 32-year-old taking this type of punishment, I'd say, bloody hell. They really need to ask questions. When it's a 39-year-old, what am I supposed to say? Like, this fight was always do or die for me with Joe. And I guess there's always that risk reward, right? And we kind of weighed it up in a few videos, didn't we? The risk is high because it's Filip Hrgovic, who maybe some consider a tougher opponent than Dillian Whyte. The reward was also high. You beat Filip Hrgovic, well, you're kind of back. And, you know, people like Adele need to shut up about me retiring because I just beat Filip Hrgovic. Well, you didn't now. You didn't. So I'm coming back again, Joe. I'm sorry. I think you should call it quits. I really do. I asked Frank, I think, as well, in the ring after. And I think Frank didn't really want to say it, especially because Joe was right there. But I think even Frank kind of gave me that look of, yeah, he needs to call it quits. He does. His feet were never super fast, but his feet have slowed down. Like, I'm watching everything, guys. I was right there. I was ringside. I was watching him. Everything is really slow. And I remember going back and watching a few of his sort of other fights, and it could be a size thing because against Daniel Dubois, he was around the 250 mark. He then obviously went and ballooned up to 280s for Zhili Zhang. So that's an extra 30 pounds of weight. It's not fat, muscle, size. That will slow your feet down. Yesterday, I think he weighed around 275. Still a lot heavier than, again, Daniel Dubois, 250. So maybe that's the reason the feet have slowed down a bit. But I don't want to watch another Joyce fight. I think that's kind of where I'm getting at here. So I guess we can all make our minds up. With regards to Filip Hrgovic, I like the Abel Sanchez link up just because Abel Sanchez will make him work in Big Bear. Abel Sanchez, obviously famed for having Gennady Golovkin, but he's had some good fighters up in Big Bear. He's trained some good fighters. I'm sure he was with Gassiev before. So he'll make you work because those fighters, their work rate wasn't the worst, was it? So we'll see what he looks like with a long fight camp and up against someone of a higher ceiling or higher ranking than Joe before I say that Hrgovic is back. But there were parts where Hrgovic looked good in that fight. Just parts. There were also parts where he's going back after round 2 and it's like he's fucking blown a gasket. So he needs to work on his fitness because 5 weeks notice, I'm sorry, you should be able to get in shape in 5. Like, you're not coming off the couch fucking drinking beer and eating pizza. You should be training and then you should be able to ramp it up in 5 weeks to get into fight shape. You're not having to make weight as a heavyweight, right? So I was a bit surprised he was blown, but he found his second wind and looked pretty good. All right, let's talk David Adele, Jimmy TKV. The referee just got this wrong. I don't need to dwell on this too much. The referee said break. As he's saying break, he's kind of pushing the arm down of TKV. David Adele gets a free hit and that's it. That's all she wrote. David Adele can punch. You give a man a free punch, then you ain't recovering from that, and he didn't recover. I will say this, and I think Adam Booth kind of put a couple of clips up on Twitter. TKV does exactly the same thing a couple of rounds earlier. He does exactly the same thing, but David Adele kind of rides those shots. So both of them were kind of playing the dark arts, and ultimately it was TKV that got punished the most. I don't know if that gets turned into a no contest. I'm not quite sure. I think if they watch the whole fight back and they see that TKV was doing exactly the same thing, they'll be almost like, kind of, you know, it is what it is. Both of you were playing at that game. Yes, the referee got it wrong, but both of you were doing that. So I don't think they run it back. I think Adele moves on. I think he moves on to a Fraser Clark fight. I think that fight makes sense. Fraser's got a fight coming up, hasn't he? But I think if Fraser gets past that, then Adele, Fraser makes sense. Or if Moses fancies having a crack at the British title, Moses is there as well. Moses fights on the Josh Taylor Echo Usman card. Moses Atama, obviously. Jack Rafferty, Corey O'Regan. As soon as I saw this matchmaking, and then you looked at who Corey O'Regan had fought, and he had, I think, 1 8-rounder prior, never fought a 10-rounder is what I'm getting at, had moved up a weight class and was moving up a level. There's too many jumps there. You're moving up weight class, you're moving up rounds, and you're moving up a considerable level. Far too much a jump. I don't blame his team for taking it. You get the call, a big event. But yeah, that was never going to work out well for Corey O'Regan. Jack Rafferty is a very, very good super lightweight. Very good. Very strong. I can see the ceiling because of his style of fighting. But if you can add a couple of things to it, you want to see a bit more movement than just coming to forward in a straight line. Because the next step, when you're 25-0, the next step, we know what the next step is. It's fringe world level. And we'll see how good he is when he gets to that. But look, I mean, now we see a working relationship between Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. Dalton Smith's there. Adam Azim's there. Both of those guys will want to, they're already above him, so they don't want to seem like they're going backwards, but those are good domestic fights if they can't get the fights they want. So no shame in that one. Khalil Majid versus Alex Murphy. Wow. What a fight to kick off the card. Incredible fight. Both of those guys aren't punchers, but what they do have is gas tanks like a fucking Bugatti. I mean, they just kept, like me and Carl were like, oh, these two are going to slow down here. This is a bit too much. They're going to slow down. They did not slow down. They did not slow down at all. I think Alex Murphy wasn't known, and I said this on the broadcast, wasn't known prior to the fight. You'll know who he is now. And Khalil Majid, well, thank his lucky stars he got out of that one, because that was super close. Very, very close. It's the kind of fight you wouldn't mind seeing again, but Buddy McGurk and that team ain't taking that fight again. But hopefully Alex Murphy on that showing gets another big fight, because that's what you want, right? You want the opener to entertain people so they stay and tune in and watch, right? And that fight was trending. People were talking about it, and ultimately they came over because of that fight. What else do we have on the Delicious Ori making his debut? Delicious is going to be upset. In fact, I know he's upset. I spoke to him after the fight and he's disappointed. As a heavyweight, there's a couple of things you want in your debut. You want to get a knockdown or a knockout, right? You want to land some big shots, and he didn't do any of those three things. But they're learning fights. You're gonna realize that not everyone you land that big right hand with is gonna fall over. Some people, especially some veterans, they just know how to absorb those shots. But he needs to mix it up a little bit as well. The uppercut was there all night because Veletic, is that his name? Veletic, every time he kind of went back, he kind of went down. And it's just like, oh my God, the uppercut's there. Just throw it. But he'll watch the take back with Grant Smith and they'll figure out small things. It's small little things from when you are an amateur to pro. Small little things. But also, people shouldn't expect him to blast people out. That was never Delicious's thing as an amateur. He was very much a boxer. So he might need to start sitting on his shots and adding to that. All right, let's see what else is out there before we wrap. I haven't seen any of this fight, so I'll do videos throughout the week. I know Yanibek, Alam Kanali won. I saw the stoppage. Oh, dude. I mean, you've got to make him versus Adames now. What are we waiting for? We just have to see it. Tim Tszyu won as well. Again, I haven't seen the fights, so we'll pick up on this tomorrow. Fabio Wardley versus Jarrell Miller. Cat is out the bag. I am doing a face-off with those two at Portman Road, so home of Ipswich Town, tomorrow. I'm doing a little walk and talk as well. I like the matchup. I like the matchup. Fabio Wardley has, I think, surprised a few people. He's now clearly a world level fighter, and I think Jarrell's better than a gatekeeper, but Jarrell is a big boy, and Fabio Wardley wants to mix it with the big boys. So we'll see. Look, I think Jarrell has a lot to offer. I think it's a very dangerous fight. I thought Jarrell beat Andy Ruiz. It took all of everything for Daniel Dubois to get past him. And Daniel Dubois is now, considered number 2 heavyweight in the world. So I think it's a really tough fight, but it's really good matchmaking as well. I mean, Queensbury really are putting some good shows together in terms of headline events. So obviously we had this one. We then go to Kakache Wood. Then we've got Echo and Josh Taylor. And now we've got Fabio Wardley, Jarrell Miller. That's pretty damn good. And they've got so many fighters that they can kind of stack the undercards as well. So, I mean, it's exciting to be a part of these shows. It really is. And I know they want to go international as well. So we'll see what happens when they go international. Shakur Stevenson still wants William Zepeda, but won't bow down. Yeah, I saw this. I saw a tweet from Shakur. I think Oscar De La Hoya was saying that Shakur has ducked Zepeda, and Shakur responded, and I think it was a dig at Turkey. He said something along the lines, you can go and check the tweet, that Turkey offered him a certain fee, and now that fee's been reduced, and he ain't doing it, or something like that. These fighters need to know their worth, because I don't know, man. Like, I'd love to know what Shakur's getting paid. I'd love to know what the offer was, because We know Turkey pays good money, and that might be, getting reduced now that he's kind of established himself. But I'm surprised that Shakur would tweet that. I am a bit surprised. But it'd be interesting to know what that fee was. All right. Let's have a look. What was interesting as well? No Ismail Salas in Joyce's corner. No Ismail Salas. I don't know what that's about. Wonder if that relationship's probably come to an end. Jai Opataya, Claudio Squeo postponed until June 8th. Well, that's a big postponement. You might just cancel it. And they should. I don't understand why they're not all systems go on Zerdo. Like, why? What is going on there? Don't get it. I don't get it. Some people have had a dig at his opponents, the level of his opponents. At least he's fighting. Well, at least he was fighting. I'm not that mad at him because at least he's not standing still waiting. Like, I'm the champion. I want Zerdo. I ain't doing nothing until I get Zerdo. No, he's fighting. So I'm not too mad at it. Yes, I want to see higher opponents, but I'm a big Jai fan, and at least Jai's giving me fights. Unlike some that are just like, feet up until I get who I get. Fuck that. Fuck that. All right, guys, girls, we are done.